Good morning, I hope you're well today. I'm going to be making some little earrings with you today. I've named them Beverley crystal earrings, and we're just going to be making wrap loops, lots of little wrap loops, adding them onto, in fact I'll show you. They're just going to go on a lovely little pin with a crystal, and they just make little sweet kind of little bunches of loveliness. So I'm going to take you over to the website now. I'm going to show you where you can get your kits and how you can get your kits and all the colours that we've got on offer for you today. We've got, I think each kit makes up 3 pairs of earrings, and we've also got kind of a buy one, get one reduced as well. So I'm going to take you over to the website now and I will show you how you can get them. So over we go to totallybeads.co.uk and head into the video tutorial section. You can see there's different ways to get in. You can click on this one, you can click on this one, you can scroll down from the top and go into video tutorials there. You can change your currency if you would like to, because we ship worldwide. Let's click in here and I'll show you where they are. So as you can see, the top of our page is where we've been making lots of lovely beaded jewellery over the last forever. And if you want to check out particular wire makes, there is a section down all the way down the bottom here where you get so much jewellery. This is literally like the last month or two, isn't it? Keep scrolling. You can find by a bead if you know I want to use, I don't know, a crystal bicone. You can search by date if you think I want to do something which was kind of spring themed or maybe, seasonal make. You can search that way. Search by kind will take you into looking for earrings, bracelets, necklaces, pendants, that kind of thing. And tutorials by technique will take you into looking for stitch beaded jewellery, macrame, wire. There's all sorts there. And then there's our faces there too, with some of our top makes that we've done. So lots of ways to find lots of inspiration for your makes. Today I'm going to be doing the Beverley cluster earrings for you. So you can see here we've got lots of colours to choose from. We've got the bronze on gold, we've got a crystal rainbow on silver, we've got green iris on gold, we've got hematite on silver, we have lilac on silver, purple on gold, and red rainbow on gold too. Each pair of earrings you'll get in your kit. So if you choose, for example, the red rainbow, it's going to make 3 pairs. So there's 3 pairs in each kit for just £5.99 today. But we also have 2 for £10 off on. There is the noisiest plane going over. Wow, that's exciting. Don't know whether you could hear that in the back. So yeah, we've got 2 for 10 as well. So if you wanted to maybe mix them up, you might think, I really like the look of the lilac, but I'd rather pair them with maybe the smaller white pearls in the crystal rainbow. You could double up and you can get that 2 for £10, which would mean you'd be making 6 pairs of earrings for £10, which is really, really good. So I'll show you what is in there in terms of your components. You're going to get your crystal round beads, you're going to get your glass pearl round bead, you're going to get your head pins, which will be what goes on the main body of your earring. I'm also using ball pins, which are what we're going to do our wrap loops with for our small little pearls, and you've got your ear wire as well, which are nickel free. So if you want to know what sizes we're using, I'm using an 8mm crystal round. This one is the bronze plate, and I've paired them with the 3mm pearls in caramel, and that's on the gold. So that's how they look. They look much better in than when they're just laying flat on the desk, because they're made into little clusters. They hang lovely when worn with that gravity, and they have kind of like because it's kind of like a cluster, they've got that lovely movement to them as well. Those little beads at the top will oscillate. I'm feeling a little out of sorts today, a little tired, so I feel like I'm stuttering over my words a bit, but you can come and you can see everything we've got here, and hopefully that will explain it if I'm not explaining it. We've got the silver dust with the clear rainbow crystal, which is this lovely look. So all the sizes are the same. I'm using those 8mm crystals and 3mm pearls in each one. They just change colour. This one is your pretty green iris. So again, I'm using the forest green glass pearls in this one in 3mm and the green iris in the crystal. We have the hematite or hematite, however you like to pronounce it. I love this one. I was going to demo with this today, but because I'm wearing a red jumper, I'm going to go for the red, and then if we've got time, I might do another one. So you can see this is how the hematite one looks. I've paired those with, of course, the hematite glass pearl rounds as well as the hematite crystal. So you've got that lovely kind of beautiful, almost metallic looking colourway. And then we've also got the lilac. I'll just speed through these now so you can see. That's how the lilac look. So I've put the sky blue glass pearl rounds and the lilac AB. AB standing for Aurora Borealis, which means it's got that beautiful petrol twinkle finish, that kind of rainbow sheen running across that beautiful light blue lilac colour there. And lastly, but by no means least, this is what I'm going to demo for you today. This is on the gold colourway, and we have the beautiful red with a little bit of a contrast this time. I didn't put them with red, I put them with peach, because these rainbow red have got a gorgeous, I'll show you this down on the mat. You can see here like a lovely sheen to it, really gorgeous mix of colours in that gorgeous red. So they're your Beverley earrings today, £5.99. Going to make up 3 pairs of earrings in each kit, or you can get your 2 for £10. So let me know which ones you like the look of the most. Do you have a favourite colour? Do you always wear the same colour jewellery? I do tend to, in terms of my metals, I mix my metals up. Sometimes I'm wearing more gold at the moment, but usually I predominantly wear a silver colour. But I have found that in terms of the colour of my beads or my gemstones do vary. So often I like to wear blue coloured ones. And I've been moving a little bit more green lately. Today I'm wearing red, so I'm going to make these to match. And in fact, I'll put one in so you can see how it looks and how they hang. So they hang much nicer than they do lay flat on the desk, but I'll show you how they look on the desk so you can see them in all their glory. And I'm going to say a quick good morning to you as well. So these are your red that I've just shown you, and I just wanted to show you the crystal and all the shimmer on those. Got these beautiful ones. So your crystals are round, but they're faceted. So you can just see that kind of checkerboard almost sparkle on each of them. I love the colour of these green crystals at the bottom. So you can see your beads will move. They'll kind of oscillate around the pin. This is your hematite. Very, very twinkly. This one is your crystal clear, but again you can see all the colours on there. Really pretty. I love these lilac ones as well. Look at that. And then the bronze. It's got almost like flashes of gold coming across it. So in terms of materials, really straightforward. I'm going to use a head pin, which has that nail tip flat finish. Let's move those up to the side. It's got the nail tip flat finish on it. I'm going to be using some ball pins as well, which, as you can guess, has got a little ball tip finish. And I think that just adds that extra little bit of detail onto the cluster of the beads. I've got lovely small 3mm glass pearl rounds, so they're very, very lightweight to work with. And then those beautiful shimmery round 8mm crystals as well. Rachel's saying she's like the bronze. Yeah, I like the bronze too. You could do a mix. We've got that offer on 2 for £10, so you know you could kind of mix up your colours if you wanted to put maybe the pearl with a different colour crystal, or the smaller pearls with a different coloured crystal, or of course if you wanted to buy some in the silver and some in the gold, you could swap that over as well if you wanted to. You might think, I really like the hematite, but I'd rather have the hematite on the gold pins. So you can mix it up that way as well if you like. Let's have a little look in the comments and say a very quick good morning to you all. So we have Mina in, hello to you. We've got Elaine in, good morning to you. Hello to Jan in a cloudy Sudbury, yeah, it's overcast here today. Peace and love to Anastasia, who's saying it's already very, very hot at 84 degrees where she's watching from. Good morning to Joanne in a cloudy Coventry. She says it's already quite warm. These earrings look really cute. Thank you very much, Joanne. Hello to Carol. Hello to Lisa. Izzy's in as well. She's still not heard from the handmade page. I will follow that up with you for you today, Izzy. Please bear with me, and I will try and see if maybe I can be made an admin on the group, and then we can get that sorted quickly for you. Good morning to Judith. Susan's in as well. We've got the lovely Jan with us, and Rachel and Carol. She says Facebook's frozen, so she's come to YouTube. I've got lots of you on YouTube. I've not got many viewers on Facebook at all. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's feeling like me today. Maybe it's just a little out of sorts. Good morning to Jean. Hello to Joanne. Rachel's liking the bronze, she said. Yeah, Facebook's playing up, but Jan says they are very, very pretty. I will do my best if I can. I mean, it says we are on Facebook. If I just have a quick look in the settings, it's telling me it's sending data, whatever that means, but I'm streaming on YouTube, so I will look into that. I've got lots of looking in to do after today. All I'm going to be doing with you today is making little wrap loops. So I'm going to be making my little wrap loops with the pearls and ball pins, and I'm just going to be adding on one little pearl to each little wrapped loop. In terms of my tools, I'm going to need some wire cutters, so flush cutters, just to trim off any excess of that pin. I'm going to be using my round nose pliers, a little bit battered, a little bit broken, but still trusty and work. Your round nose pliers are tapered, so they are smaller at the end, wider towards the handle, which means if I want to turn a small loop, I'm going to be turning around about here, just maybe a millimetre or two away from that very end point. And then I'm going to be using these. So chain nose pliers will do just as well. I'm going to be using my tweezer nose because they're probably one of my favourite tools. And all I'm going to be using for that is just to make sure when I've made my wrap loops that I've turned that little end right in. So once I've cut it off, I'm going to tuck in any little ends at the end of the pin, because what we want to make sure is our jewellery is lovely to wear, not scratchy, not going to get tangled in your hair or anything like that. So let's get making. I'm going to make 15 of my pins per earring. So I'm just going to take some of the ball pins, and I'm just going to move those to the side so we've got a nice clear screen, and then I'm going to take off some of these lovely little beads. So I'm just going to put one of the small pearls onto my ball pin. Again, sometimes if I get a little bit too close, it won't focus, so hopefully I'll stay in shot. Because I'm making a wrap loop, I want to make a little bit of space between my bead and my bend. So I'm going to place my pliers in right towards the end, and I'm going to bend the pin over the top of the pliers. So you can see my pliers are sitting at the moment either side of that pin, on the left and on the right. So if I was to take this out, you could see there's a tiny little bit of space between the ball of the bead and the bend. You can accentuate that more if you want to by moving up the pliers and then bending it a little bit higher up. So I'm taking my pliers, which are on the left and the right, the jaws of the pliers, and I'm going to reposition my hand. So now my pliers are going to be sitting above and below that pin. I'm then going to take the pin, and I'm just going to do this with my fingers. I'm going to move that pin all the way around the top of the plier, and then I'm repositioning my hand again. So now the pliers are just around the pin there. And that's just giving me a little bit of space to move that pin right across. And then I reposition, and by giving it that little tilt, what that's doing is it's making sure that that little loop that I've just made is sitting directly above the ball, right centre on the top, but it's also lifting this tail end of the pin up. And that means when I wrap my pin, it's going to start wrapping really close to that loop. So all I've done is kind of made it like a little scarf almost, bringing it right round. Now what I tend to do is I swap into my less dominant hand, which is my left, and I pop the loop back around my pliers. And I do this just to keep the shape of that loop. I'm then going to take my chain nose pliers, or in this case my tweezer nose pliers, and I'm going to do little half turns. So I'm going to bring it round. So you can see if I take it off again, I'm doing it really slowly, so you can see that first wrap is now sitting directly underneath that loop. So just to give myself some purchase, I'm keeping my pliers in, and I'm just going to do, when I say half turns, I'm just going to bring it over the top, so that next wrap is sitting underneath the last, and then bring it around the back, around the front, around the back, and I tend to make 3 wraps, so I'm just filling the space. So that space between the bead and the loop has now been full. You can give it a little bit of a press down if you need to neaten it up. Can you see I've got those 3 wraps there? And then I'm going to come in with my cutters, and I'm cutting really, really close. I'm going to make sure that I'm not scratching the bead, but I'm just going to come and cut in nice and closely just to get rid of the tail end of the pin. I then pop the loop back around the round nose pliers, and with my chain nose or my tweezer nose or whatever I'm using, I'm just going to go and squish around to make sure the tail end where I've cut off is sitting nice and flush. And I'm going to do that 15 times. But of course, once you've seen me do it a few times, you're not going to need to watch all 15, so I have made some in advance. So bead goes on to the pin that I'm using, a ball pin. I'm going to pinch down. I'm going to hold my hands up just so you can see them. When I work this way round, but you can't see what's going on there, so that's why I'm putting it this way. So we're going to bend it across the top just to make sure that when I turn that loop, it's going to be nice and central. Repositioning my hand so the pliers are above and below the pin, bringing it all the way round, and reposition again just so I can bring it up. And then I'm going to tilt to reposition so the loop is sitting fairly neat. You can adjust it if it's not. So if I think actually it's not quite sitting at the top central, then I can just pop the pliers back in and reposition till it's at a happy point. Swap into my less dominant hand just to give myself some control when I turn the pin. We want to make sure this is lifted upwards slightly, just so it's going to start wrapping nice and closely to the loop. And little half turns just to fill the space. If you're turning on the same point on your plier, then you are probably going to be making the same amount of wrap loops each time, or the same amount of wraps on each loop rather. So I'm going to do 3, but it's just enough to fill that space. If you have a longer piece of wire before the loop, then you'll just be filling that more. But we want to make sure that wrap loop comes all the way down to the bead so it's nice and neat. You can, if you want, flip it over and just make sure that you can see what you're doing. Trimming off the excess, keep hold of that excess so it doesn't fire away. Popping back into my round nose just to give myself some purchase. And you can see that little tail end there sticking out. I'm just gonna tuck it in. And I tend to give it like a little twist as I go, just to make sure it's fully wrapped around. Anastasia says, I've got problems doing wire loop earrings. Well, these are going to be wrapped loops. Apart from when I construct it, I'm just going to turn a loop on the last one. But I'll show you how to do it. It's just practice, Anastasia. I'm just seeing if I've missed any questions. Heather's watching on a break in work. Hope you're having a nice morning, Heather. So I'm just going to keep going with that. And you will find that as you're doing them, you can speed up. I'm doing it rather slowly just to make sure you can see. Over the top, reposition, bringing the pin round, reposition to get it all the way underneath. Check I'm nice and straight and I'm happy with it. And then turning the loop, so I'm not putting any stress on my wrists or anything like that. I'm just turning it over, bringing it behind the back, bringing it over until I've filled that space. Sometimes I lift that pin a little bit away from the bead just to make sure I can get the cutters in nice and close, and then there's less to tuck in. So trimming that off that excess and then making sure the end of the pin is fully tucked in. Once you've made, I make this with 15 wrap loop little dangles on each earring to make that cluster nice and full. Of course you can add more or less, but once you've made a pair of earrings, I'm just going to reposition that because I want that to be up. Once you've made a pair of earrings with 30 wrap loops, you will have completely mastered it because it is just repetition. And take your time. There's no rush. I am rushing a little bit, and when I do, it doesn't go quite as neat. So all I'm going to do is just give that a little squish just to compress those wraps. So each time I wrap, the wrap is sitting underneath that last rotation of the pin. So we're not overlapping, it's just sitting nice and neat underneath. Coming in with the cutters. And then tucking in. Last one, I think, I'll count them. So little bead, 3mm onto the ball pin. My pliers are going to sit either side. I'm going to bend it to a 90-degree angle. You can bend it the other way around if you prefer that way. This is how I feel most comfortable working. So now my pliers are above and below, just to bring that round the top. So I'm getting the shape of the brown nose plier is what's making the shape of that loop. Reposition again. So it's going all the way around. Taking the tail end. Wrapping once. Wrapping twice. Wrapping 3 times. If you need to, you can just keep going round until you've filled the space. Trimming off, keep hold of the end of the pin so it doesn't fire away. and then make sure you're tucking in that little end. So I tend to just flip it over, and then I can see it from all angles and make sure it's all in. So let's count how many wrap loops I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And it's just a case of assembly now. So I'm going to take my head pin, which has got the flat finish to it. There you go. And I'm going to pop my crystal 8mm round onto the bottom. You could use ball pin with this as well, but I quite like the fact with the head pin, you see how it fits in really flush. So my crystal's not going to fall off, but when worn, you're not going to see the end of it. It's going to be just hidden flush next to bead. And then I'm just going to add on my little wrap loops. So where the loop is that I've just made on each of those pins, just going to slide on around that head pin. They are quite quick makes once you've done your wrap loops. If you wanted to, you could just sit and make all your beads and then a matter of minutes just to assemble them. So I'm not putting them on any particular way because they're all going to kind of move around anyway. But as I place them on and kind of stack them, they will bunch up into that lovely little cluster. So once I've added them all on, it's going to look like this. Obviously, if I hold them up to the camera, they're all going to flop to the side. But when they're worn with gravity, they will move around and make that little cluster. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn a pin. I'm not going to make a wrap loop on this, but I want to make sure that I'm pushed down. So, you know, my beads aren't kind of moving upwards. They're all kind of close together. So just let gravity position them and drop them down to where you want. And I'm going to make a bend close to where the top of the last wrapped loop charm, so to speak, is. I'm going to give that a turn to about a 90-degree angle. That one wants to flip up. Sorry, not in shot. This way, when I'm doing a wrap loop, I want to make that space between the bend to fill the space with the wrap. But if I'm just turning a loop, I want it nice and flush really to the top of the bead or the bead clusters, just so I can just turn the loop instead. Now to turn the loop, I'm going to bend it as I have done, and then I'm going to leave about 1 centimetre in length. You just want to make sure you can move these out the way if need be. So I'm going to cut, leaving about 1 centimetre, keeping hold of the pin so it doesn't fire off. And then I'm going to use my round nose, or if you want to, you can use your bail step pliers as well. If you've got bail step pliers, they look like this. So these are 6-step. So there's different kind of graduations on each of my tool. If I use these, then I'm going to make sure that my loop's exactly the same size on one earring to the next. But you don't need to use them. You can use your round nose pliers and just kind of gauge where about you put it. So you could always put a little mark with your pen, and when you come to turn your next loop on your next earring, it's going to be the same size because you've turned it at the same point. So I want to keep that pin nice and flush. I don't want the pin sticking out. If I turn my loop and there's that little bit there sticking out, that's not going to turn. So I want to make sure it's all nice and flush. I always tend to just gently run my finger over the back of it just to make sure it's not sticking out. And then I'm going to hold down the clusters on the top of that pin just with my thumb, just to keep them in position. and I'm going to give it a little flick up. So just a tiny little flick up like so. Move that out of the way, you can see. And then I'm going to reposition my hand, so now my knuckles are facing away from me, and I'm just going to do a little rotation, just little twists of my wrist, little flicks of my wrist, just to turn that pin. And I'm going to make sure I've turned it all the way so it's nice and closed. If it's not, you can reposition by popping your pliers back in. So now all those little lovely tassely beads that we've put on the top aren't going to come off because they're all secured in underneath that loop. And all you need to do now is attach it to your ear wire. So you can open up the loop you've just made, or you can take the ear wires out of your kits, which are nickel free, and you'll see there's a little opening just on the end of one side. So if you give that a little flick up with your pliers, only opening it just a little smidge, but that's just enough to be able to hook through and then close it back down. So like opening a jump ring, I'm just going to give it a little flip back, and that is going to close my earring up. And then I will have two matching earrings. They're always going to be matching and symmetrical if you just do exactly the same amount of wrap loops. As I say, they don't look as pretty when they're lying flat because the pearls tend to drop to the side. They do, however, I think, look a little bit like Christmas trees. So what you could do, if you're going to want to make festive earrings, you could get the buy two for £10 offer, and you could use that gorgeous bronze one as the base, and then you could use the green crystals out of the green iris colourway, beads, and you could do your pins on that, and you could maybe occasionally add a different coloured beading to look like little baubles or something. That's if you wanted festive looking earrings. You can of course mix the colour of your beads up as well. So I think that would make a nice combination in the bronze and the green. I think other colourways which we've got that would look really nice. You could use the crystal clear and do a little bit of a mix with that lilac. I think the hematite in the green would look nice as well. There's lots of different things you can do if you want to mix up your colours. So that is them, really straightforward to make. They are called the Beverley earrings. They're available to buy as a kit on the Totally Beads website. Beverley cluster earrings are £5.99 each, and that makes up 3 pairs of earrings, or we've got 2 for £10 offer. So that's totallybeads.co.uk. You can watch these tutorials back whenever you want. I know we've had a few issues today with Facebook, but I will share the link later on my page on Facebook and in the handmade group, which I'm going to sort out now. So hopefully everybody who wants to be in that can be. Just going to put the earrings in so you can see how they look when worn. They make a nice little sound as well. They kind of jingle a little bit. Joanne says she loves the blue. Rachel says very pretty and sparkly. They're not too heavy either. They're quite lightweight. Obviously, when we're using glass pearls and glass crystals, they just have it just makes them lighter, so they're not too heavy to wear. Some people don't want heavy earrings, which makes perfect sense to me. Anastasia says they're beautiful, Natalie. Thank you very much. Joanne says lots of rapping in this one, Natalie. I like it. My granddaughter's playing and singing. Oh, bless her. What's she singing? I'm hoping I've not missed any questions. I think a few of you were talking about ill health, so I'm hoping that you're all okay and you're okay. Heather saying, I love the idea of bead handbags. Is that what we were talking about last week? I don't know. Well, I will ask, but we'd have to buy, we'd have to be able to supply and stock like the findings, but we can definitely do bag charms and things like that, which is what I'm going to be doing this afternoon when I've sorted out Facebook and when I've sorted out the handmade group for Izzy. I'm going to put together some ideas for when I go down to the warehouse. I'm going to be back with you Monday. Not sure what I'm making Monday. I didn't look in advance. I've got my diary down there. Shall we see what I've scheduled? I don't even know what day and what month we're in. We are still in June, yeah. In June 2025. March, April, May, June, November. But you can see how organised I am. I can't find my diary. I've got all the other months, but the one that I'm looking for, I'll have a little look later. I think it's a necklace, though I don't know if it's the gemstone necklace or what. I've got a lovely memory wire bracelet coming up with you very, very soon as well, which will involve a little bit of stitching and a little bit of wire. It's a bit of a amalgamation, is that the word, of things. Izzy says they're lovely, Natalie, will definitely make them, and also little Christmas trees. I mean, they weren't meant to be Christmas trees. I was looking at kind of like a berry type cluster, to be honest, with us being in summer now. But when I've seen the colours and when they lay flat, I thought, well, we said last live, didn't we? We need to be thinking ahead for our seasonal mix. So there you go. Thank you so much for being with me today. It was a short but sweet one, but check out the website. These are the Beverley cluster earrings. They're a bargain. You're going to get 3 pairs of earrings in each kit, and I hope you have fun making them. If you do, share them with me. Let me know. Drop me a comment, and I will speak to you all next week. So have a very lovely weekend, everybody. Take care of yourself.